6 reasons your buyer should walk away from a house, from buying a particular house.
Your client.
Right?
Why your client should be walking away from a house.
We're going to go through the 6. This is Vance Kellogg Inman article. Just came out. And we're going to go through the 6 and see if we think it's a racket or not.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Home inspections come back with major problemos. Always recommend home buyers to complete inspections before moving forward. So home inspection comes back with major problems. Is that a automatic cancellation? He's saying the 5 biggest concerns: foundation, water intrusion, electrical, plumbing, and roofing issues. Should you just walk away?
Well, I wouldn't just walk away. I mean, a lot of those items are like now have to be disclosed, right? So now once the seller knows that those items are a problem, like they're going to have to disclose them in the future. So I would use that sort of as a negotiating tactic to hopefully maybe get the price lower or have them remediate. But I guess if things get wildly overwhelming and there's really no salvaging it, I mean, it just makes the most sense to,
I think
to walk away.
the only one that might make a lot of sense to walk away on this list would be foundation or water intrusion, because water intrusion seems to sometimes be impossible to correct. Like, well, even when you correct,
you could do like a curtain drain.
You can do the whole curtain drain, but there's
interior,
there's certain things where you're always going to be dealing with the sub pump or some type of.
So I'm never going to be able to sell my house.
Oh no, you'll sell it. Location is everything. Location. You got great location. All right, number 2, the home quality is questionable.
Okay.
So that you would probably, if something is questionable in the inspection, you'd probably want to go and have a contractor that you trust, reputable contractor.
This isn't even part of the home inspection. This is a whole nother bullet point. So you're not even at the home inspection yet. You're walking away from it, right?
Well, they're saying coming right off the coattails of the home inspection is the build quality of a home. So I'm assuming
I do have clients walk away, especially if I'm seeing like a flip that's done really poorly.
Oh, flips all the time.
I mean, that one's a no-brainer when it's. I mean,
I see so many like corners cut on some of these flips. Many. When I am working with a buyer and they want to do a flip, I just let them know this is a flip. I would never buy a flip. 90% of the time, maybe there's certain flips and flippers and real estate investors, I would certainly buy their product, but flippers are it's a math problem, and there's corners that get cut.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think even with some builders, I actually had a buyer walk away. We never actually.
And it does reference builders
new construction,
in here. So not a racket there. The neighborhood isn't a good fit. The average homeowner will live in their neighborhood for 13 years. When buying a home, they're not just buying a property; they're also buying into the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And
their future neighbors.
Yep.
So. They're saying to walk around the block. I
mean, why not? I always tell people to do that.
Come
back at like 5 when everyone's coming home from like work. Come in the morning. Come on a Saturday. Go on a Tuesday.
I was just talking about this yesterday, actually. I would want to go multiple times, be one of those creepy buyers, to find out if my neighbors have loud dogs.
Ew, you don't like dogs.
Yeah, well, I don't like annoying dogs.
Okay. Wait, you like dogs all of a sudden? Like that's like...
I'm trying to keep it PC here on the real word.
So as long as they don't make a noise.
I don't want to live
come near
in
you.
a super dog friendly area. I love where I live. There's one
You live in a condo complex that does not allow dogs, I'm assuming.
There's one little dog.
Wow.
Tiny.
Okay, so that's a good one.
All right, so neighborhood's not a good fit. You should know that before you engage in buying the house.
Well, that's what I'm
homework
thinking
you
too.
should do
Yes,
before
absolutely.
You buy the house. The price is too good to be true. Very, very, I agree with this. This is not a racket. If the price is too good to be true and nobody else is buying it, if it's an easy deal to get, and there's no competition, especially in this market, if there's no competition to get, the easier the deal to get, to win the bid, the harder it is for you to get rid of the property when you go to sell it. You want to buy real estate that everybody wants. You want to buy real estate that has multiple offers on it, because when you do go to sell someday, likely that location is going to be just as good or even better. You want that desirable real estate.
So I agree there, but you and I have had multiple conversations about this because we have some higher end buyers that are always asking us like, why hasn't this house sold? And I mean, it does sometimes come down to
when you go to the super luxe prices,
how
that happens.
How many properties actually sell in that price point too. So we have to we have to be a little easy. We can't just blanket the whole thing.
Even there are you know, in
because
some
then
of the higher
everybody
price
asks,
points,
you know, like why, like then they don't want to be the one that actually buys it because it's been on for so many days. But
even in the higher price points, you will get these certain particular properties that will just fly off of the market. Those are going to be very desirable when they sell. But to your point, even in the most luxurious locations, vacation, Aspen, we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, places in California, New York City, or whatever, or along the shoreline here in Connecticut, that high luxury, you do have a situation where they're going to sit in the market a little bit longer.
Right.
There's only so many buyers. Sellers become disinterested or aggressive. It's time to walk away. This is a racket. Okay?
Disinterested. What does that mean?
I mean, obviously, if they're not going to sell and they
don't
say
want
no,
to sell,
then it's not your choice. You're walking away anyway.
Well, not necessarily. You could, if as a buyer, if you have an executed contract, you could totally push for performance on that one. You're just going to spend some money getting them out.
That is true. But this whole thing about sellers being aggressive, they own the house. And if you're an agent representing a buyer, it's your job to take emotions out of it. Aggressive is an emotion.
Well,
that's an emotion that you're perceiving.
Well, the buyer should never even know that the seller's being aggressive.
Correct. And maybe they do because of the dynamics of the deal or whatever.
Potentially.
But it's your job to take that perceived aggression, right? Like, who are you to say they're being aggressive?
Right.
Who are you, Mrs. Buyer and buyer agent, to say that seller's being aggressive? Maybe they're just energetic. Maybe they're excited about the deal. It's your job as the agent to take the emotion out of the deal.
Obviously.
So this is a total racket in my
book. Sounds like the agent's getting a little, they're ruining that deal right there.
I think so.
Yeah.
Things fall apart before closing.
Things fall apart, like doors fall apart? Like what's falling apart?
Most transactions go smoothly, but there are tons of moving pieces that can cause closing to be delayed or halted entirely. These issues are rarely the fault of the buyer. That's a racket. Who wrote this? Vance.
Kellogg.
What do you mean rarely the fault of a buyer when things get delayed? Right now, most closings are being delayed, not necessarily because of the buyer, but the buyer's lender, right? Because everything's getting backed up.
Well, but that's not the buyer's fault, unless they're not getting in their paperwork.
But it's on the buy side. There's two sides to a transaction. The buy side, them getting their financing and all that kind of stuff, and then the sell side, the listing side.
So he's really putting this all on the seller because they're dragging their feet. But then he talks about title insurance.
Reputable title companies require title insurance to be purchased. And if you're dealing with a title company that's hesitant to provide the title insurance, beware. Yes, 100%.
I think he was just trying to come up with a sixth one.
All right. So I don't know. Would we agree with half of those? I agreed with maybe half.
Maybe.
So, all right. Good job though, Vance. Really like the insight. Good conversation piece. We'll link that up.
I guess I'm just feeling like if you're gotten that far, like you're so close to the end.
And if it's the house you want and all this
stuff.
I wouldn't let a little delay
invested all that money in home inspections and
frustrate me.
Yeah.